Hello everyone and welcome to State of the Realm, your weekly Final Fantasy XIV podcast. This week, we got more stuff from the Fan Fest. And this time we're going to talk about lore. We're going to not play the trailer, but we're going to kind of go over what we think the lore implications are for the expansion. A little bit of speculation, a little bit of just taking some context clues and rolling with them. And on top of that, we're going to be taking a look at Volume 2 of the lore book, because we have ours. So hopefully you get yours soon. Anyway, to do that, we're going to need some people. I'm one of them, Mr. Happy. Cool, you don't care. The other one is Slyh. You do care here, because he's, Slyh, Akagreyfox. Yeah, no? Yeah, no, I don't think they care about you either. We do.
I'm one of them. It's me.
Yeah, so he, I was going to have some fun with it, but, our fucking librarian over here is just flipping through the book right now. So, yeah, we have... We got Ethys. Ethys here guys. Too. Yeah, Ethys the book, Volume 2.
Hey, what's up? What's up, nerds? How we doing?
I'm doing good. I'm doing fantastic. I actually still got to go grab mine off the back shelf, but fortunately, we're going to be talking about the trailer stuff. I keep the first and second volume nice and neat on a little shelf right next to some of the other 14 belongings we have.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, that's you can't see it because there's a green screen behind me. Or there's a rock behind me for some people, but I mean that's a real rock. There's no green screen.
No green screen.
No green. That's a rock. Yeah,
costs a lot of money to get that rock hold in there.
No, actually, it didn't. It was on sale.
Oh, the rock was on sale.
Yeah, the rock was on sale.
The rock was on sale. That's nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
It's filmed live on location, so it's pretty cheap to do this. All right, well, gentlemen, I don't think I've ever been more excited to talk about lore, and I'm going to say that now and say it again after 4.5 comes out. Both Part 1 and Part 2, I suppose. Because this is, I think, the first time where I've gone into a lore show and been just really ready to, for some shakeups, and really hopeful for some shakeups from our oh-so-predictable predicaments over the past several years as the Warrior of Light. So I found them mostly, very, very cliche, very, very undone a lot of the times, I'm
just trying to think back to how many times Mike has actually predicted anything that we've done.
Slyh, you I feel like you'd have a counter for that.
Maybe like twice.
I don't know. I feel like Hap Jesus was a phrase for a reason. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Because it was a miracle that you got something right.
I mean, that's what your F Jesus
it
is
originated
for.
From Sly Jesus, and then because I never get anything right, and then Hap Jesus is just normal. That's just
yeah. That's just I'm used to guessing correctly. Although I guess correctly about content, not always about lore. Content is like it's predictable. The lore is always like, well, it'll probably be something like this, and then anytime they surprise us, they just undo it a patch later anyway. So, well, hopefully they won't be doing that because we now have Shadowbringers coming out early summer 2019, and we are going to be following a plot line that is introduced, not really introduced, but really we're beginning to explore it more in 4.4. We're starting to build towards it a little bit more. It was first introduced all the way back in the 3.x series, but I would like to say we are going to openly be talking about 4.4 here. Were you ready to spoiler cast on 4.4 a long time ago? And as such, just for anyone who might be seeing this and going like, oh, I can't wait to talk about Shadowbringers, but I haven't done 4.4 story yet. First of all, go do it. Second of all, spoilers. Because 4.4 was a great story patch that shook everything up, I felt, and now I feel the same way about this teaser for Shadowbringers. How did you guys feel?
So if you haven't done the 4.4 story, you probably shouldn't be watching trailers for 5.0.
I mean, that doesn't stop people in the past.
Yeah, that's true enough.
Yeah. So, how did we feel coming out of the first little bit? Because for the first I'd say 8 to 10 minutes, they probably explained what at least the premise was of Shadowbringers, and we had all kind of spoken about this when we first did our 4.4 spoiler cast. So, how were we feeling? Ethys, you're the guest, of course. You can go first.
How was I feeling after watching the trailer?
After the first 8 to 10 minutes where they were going over we had the trailer, they went over the premise, kind of like the main focuses and what we're going to be working towards? Like, what was running through your head there? Because I know I remember I was sitting next to you during the Stormblood reveal, and I could hear you like muttering certain things about like stuff we had already known and like how we were progressing under your breath. So I didn't have that privilege this time.
Well, I noticed that particularly after the trailer when they were talking about, the zones and the direction stuff, they were being so deliberately vague. I remember with the Stormblood reveal, it was like, all right, these zones are from these places, and this is the timeline, and this is what's happening. Whereas for this, we got announcements of like Erang and the Great Wood, but I mean, we I don't know, we might assume that they're in Ilzabad, but we don't know. We don't know what the timeline's like. We don't know where or when or how this is occurring. And it's such like, at least from the trailer, it appears to be such a dramatic kind of shift or twist in the plot, that it's really difficult to place like where these events are occurring. And I just think it's super, super telling that they're reluctant to kind of share those details with us. So much of what I was kind of trying to work out at the beginning was, where is this happening? When is this happening? How is this happening? How much of this is like literal kind of narrative shown in the trailer, I mean, and how much of it is more supposed to be just like symbolic or demonstrative of the themes of the expansion. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and we'll definitely be diving into that, because that's about half the trailer that you just described of the 3 minutes and 19 seconds we got to look at. Sly, how are you feeling going into that one? Because again, I didn't have the privilege of hearing if you were muttering things under your breath or not, like I may have had.
No, it was more inquisitive, looking like, we become the warrior of darkness. Okay, why? I mean, I can kind of sense why based off what has happened and maybe what will happen, so to speak. But do we, my questions are, do we go to another star? Do we, why specifically are we becoming the warrior of darkness? Are we replacing the past warrior of darkness? I'm just, mainly, I have more questions than answers right now. And that's where I think I'm at. And I think a lot of us do.
That's what I'm most excited about stories, when I have more questions than anything else. Because nothing's more fun than having a question answered. At least I feel so. But you need enough questions to ask. And now after 4.4, we were full of all these questions. And now we don't have any answers per se, but we have a direction. So now it's about filling in the blanks between what we've experienced at 4.4 and trying to figure out what will happen in 4.5, part 1 and part 2. And then we also have to consider how much of... We probably have to wait for the full trailer to start maybe trying to piece together the remaining things, because there's 4.5 stuff that appears to be omitted from the completed trailer that they won't give us till the next FanFests. So we need to figure out how much of this trailer is 5.0, how much of it is 4.5, and how much of it could be 5.1 to 5.3, which is usually where we see actual closure for the expansion. So we can't really judge that yet without the remaining however many minutes are left.
So you're talking about making connections between 4.4 and things that we see in this trailer. Are there sort of specific parts or specific features or specific events in 4.4 that you think are significant to what we're seeing in the trailer?
Well, I think there's things that happen in 4.4 that we then see different things in the trailer, and getting from point A to B is tough. One of the biggest things would be Thancred no longer being in the state he's currently in. Something has clearly changed.
I wondered about that, but maybe he is still in the state that he's been.
That's absolutely possible that that's more metaphysical than actually physical. Although he seems to recognize the place where he's at, but we don't know how long he's been there. So
that's the thing. Yeah, I heard a few people like throwing around this idea that, okay, well, maybe we're no longer on our shard. Maybe these locations are actually locations on the first. Maybe Minfilia, as the word of the mother, has kind of failed to prevent this flood of light. I just want to preface this. This is not personally what I think to be like the most likely scenario, but it's definitely interesting to think about. And that Thancred, maybe he hasn't recovered at all. Maybe he's still in a coma or whatever it is that's happened to him. on the source, and this is just the result of his calling to whatever this other place is. And maybe we've got to, follow the other scions there.
Taking a step back a little bit, after we see the Warrior of Light kind of go through some Echo-related flashbacks to 1.0, 2, like all the trailers from all the various launches, we then move into a scene in what we now know as the Gimlet Dark, where it is the culmination of the Eorzean Alliance. Is authored? I can't remember. This is in 4.4 when they're at the event. I can't remember if authored if it has a different name or if Doma's in the Eorzean Alliance. I think there's like a joint name for it.
Yeah, I'm just referring to it as the Alliance. It's only none of the other Otharian nations are involved. It's just the Domans.
Yeah. All right. Yes.
And we see the banners of each of the nations as well.
Yeah.
At the beginning of that scene in the Gimlet Dark.
No. And we see what looks to be the events that will probably take place in 4.5 dungeon-wise. We know that at the end of 4.4, Elidibus Xenos, which they're not even dancing. Like, I like at FanFest, they're just like, I mean, we already know it's officially confirmed in 4.4 that
Wasn't
it is
it in
Elidibus.
the nameplate as well?
Yeah, they literally just said Elidibus Xenos.
Yeah.
That was I was just glad that they didn't like try to do that. They're like, no, listen, if you know what we're talking about, like, you know who it is already. Like, we don't give a shit. It's FanFest.
You've done the story.
It's FanFest, motherfucker. Like, you know what it is. And we know he's waiting on Varys's thumbs up to attack Eorzea, pretty much. Or to attack Doma, I guess, more specifically. And he's not going to have that option for very much longer, so I have to feel that we're getting our dungeon rematch against Xenos as maybe not the final boss, but like maybe they could do something like they did with Ascian Prime, in a sense.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking too.
Something related to Xenos, and this is implied to be the breaking point of the balance of light versus dark kind of tipping, and necessity rising for a warrior of darkness. So. How are we? What do you think? Like, Gimlet Dark, to get from where we are now to get to Gimlet Dark seems pretty hasty, in a sense, for just part one of the patch. So how are we getting there? Sly, how are we going from where we are right now, where hey, two people are in a coma and Solace is back, and when there's and it's all Ascian related stuff, to the Gimlet Dark in a few quests.
Yeah, I'm thinking either Elidibus or Solace is the catalyst for us getting to the Gimlet Dark. I don't know how. I don't know. Like, I kind of can, you kind of like surmise how we would get from point A to point B. But yeah, it has to be something from their side, from the Ascian / Garlean side, to get us to that point, to give us a need. Like, why?
There has to be a huge escalation of some kind.
Right? Yes.
Yeah. And that would be the only way, is for Solace to escalate it, which is highly likely at this point, or Elidibus. And I honestly think this Solace right now.
Well, we've already seen a potential for that escalation in the Black Rose. And the fact that the Black Rose has actually been used against the population, as Alphino and Shadowhunter has shown us. So I mean, like, knowledge of the Garleans basically possessing and being willing to use this, mass chemical weapon would be more than enough, I think, to kind of scare the Alliance into seriously escalating, right?
Right.
That also implies that Shadowhunter and Alphino relay that information back. We know that Maxima is gonna, he's gonna be making some sort of contact with LSA, and
Maxima has been with them.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that lines up in terms of what they've kind of revealed so far. So I think Black Rose is a pretty solid theory in terms of escalation. It's very likely the Gimlet Dark is going to have aspects of the Black Rose present, because they're not going to just show up and fight. This is not real Xenos that's doing this. He is not the Playfair, hunt my quarry kind of guy anymore. He just wants to do Ascian things.
Mm-hmm.
Which then raises the other question. We still have to fit real Xenos into everything that's happening. Or who we're still presuming is real Xenos.
Yeah. I mean, that may or may not pay off in this expansion. That might be something that comes later. So there was one thing. Tinfoil hats back on for a moment, please. Everyone got their tinfoil hats? Okay. All right, good. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. So part of the voiceover here, Mike, that's ridiculous.
It's not tinfoil, but it's...
No. It's like aluminium. It's close enough, I guess. It probably insulates even better, honestly. So where are we? Okay, so the voiceovers in the trailer. How many years have come since that? Damn many years since I waited for this moment. For the one that stood alone against the storm. The one that stood alone against the storm. We're assuming that that's us, right?
Yeah, based on context of, our eyes zoom in.
Right. Well, I just want us to entertain for a moment the idea that the Warrior of Light could represent a storm and nothing has really stood against us in a meaningful way. And we've just kind of blown through every adversary, every Ascian, everything that's been thrown against us. What if the one that's standing against the storm was Xenos? What if Xenos was our kind of equal and antithesis in a way that nothing ever has been, and was subsequently making a balance?
Because they said they called us the Warrior of Light in the trailer. That's the very next line.
So for the one that stood alone against the storm, for the one they called the Warrior of Light. Again, we assume that that's talking about the same thing. It could be talking about two different things. The one that stood against the storm, the one they call the Warrior of Light. It's not necessarily the one who stood against the storm, the one they call the Warrior of Light. You know what I mean?
That's the version of it I'm going with.
Right. And I agree personally, but I just think that maybe it's possible that Xenos is far more important to this concept of balance than we've realized so far. Maybe it is, in fact, there's the one who stood against the storm, and then there's the one that they called the Warrior of Light, and that's two different things. Maybe Xenos stood against the storm.
It's worth at least keeping the noggin there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'd say at the very least.
I'm definitely overthinking it, but that's kind of the point of this trailer, and the fact that we've got so little information at the moment about the expansion sort of lets us kind of run wild with these ideas. And I just want to make it clear that this is not like something that I'm predicting. I'm just thinking that we need to sort of approach this from as many different angles as we can.
I mean, I've been doing the same thing. There's nothing to indicate my personal feelings towards the expansion heavily dealing with Unokalhai, other than the entire theme seems to be balance, and Unokalhai is not meant to be a force of good or bad per se. He's employed under Elidibus for the purpose of balance. That's what his entire being is meant to exist. He was too late in his own world, and why would Elidibus deploy him to deal with the Warring Triad here when that literally goes against everything the Ascians have kind of done up to this point with teaching all the beast tribes and everything? Like he must see that the Warring Triad if unleashed is too far in one direction.
Basically, Elidibus's idea was that if the Warring Triad were released at their full power at the same time, there was no way that we'd be able to stand up to them.
Yeah.
And the whole point of Elidibus's kind of primal escalation is that he makes sure that the primals are growing in power as we're growing in power. And that's not kind of getting tipped out of balance, right?
Right. So I feel like Unokalhai, it's almost unavoidable that he plays a role here. Elidibus and Unokalhai, I expect to play very, very major roles here.
I expect minor for Unokalhai.
Oh, okay.
I suspect. So, Mike, do you think that the cloaked child is Unokalhai?
I can't tell if it's a woman or a boy. I can't tell if it's a little girl or a little boy.
It feels like she had female features.
I can't tell. She's so young that I can't tell with a robe on.
It does look very feminine, but the thing is, like, I mean, look at Alphino, for instance. Like, Well, I mean, okay. So we see like the chin and the jaw and the lips. I just want you to imagine, like, take Alphinaud and just like look at like the bottom half of his face. Also looks like very kind of soft and feminine, right?
You can't get away from this joke since like 2.0, Alphinaud. That's it. You'll always be
Alizé and Alphinaud mixed up. Yeah.
One of my favorite scenes in 2.4 was like, get the little girl, yelling about Alphinaud.
Well, I guess if we're talking about the little girl, we might as well take this tangent. A lot of people think that it's Minfilia. And I mean, again, this is sound because we know nothing about who this is or about the context of this scene. It's sound because we have absolutely no information. But at the same time, it seems like completely unfounded to me. And I'm not sure I understand why it's such a popular theory.
Well, because Thancred's he's always seen himself as her protector. So a reborn version of her, he'd be like, he would assume that role immediately without anyone asking him to.
Oh, no doubt. But Thancred would also do that for just about anyone.
For her, though, it's on a whole nother level.
Mm-hmm. So I've heard a couple people saying, okay, maybe this is like a time travel thing, and maybe we're back in the time of like Echo 1.0. So the very, very young Minfilia that we see in the Echo cutscenes at the beginning of Ul'dah. Maybe that's what's going on here. Another possibility is that in order to travel to the first, Minfilia would have had to give up her body, right?
Yeah.
And that if she wants to travel back to the source, she'd need a new body. So she's either possessed one or created one or whatever. And it's this, more kind of fragile, childlike form. So those are both possibilities. But again, it just seems like a reach. It seems like there's got to be simpler and more elegant explanations for who this person is. And Una Kalai is not completely unbelievable. I think it's unlikely, but
I think
maybe.
So too. I've quite liked the Minfilia theory quite a bit. The kind of robes that she's wearing underneath are very similar to what she's wearing when you see her in her otherworldly state. The hair, you can't really see any hair. You just see like I said, the bottom half of the face. So,
but that's very it's a very thematic thing, right?
Yeah.
Is Minfilia being presented as emissary of light,
yes.
and the sort of juxtaposition, the dissonance between light and darkness is such an important part of this trailer. It's going to be such an important part of, I guess, the aesthetic and the theme of this expansion, that it's sort of dressed and presented in a similar way for that reason, I guess. Do we have any ideas of what else this child could be? Maybe.
No, I mean, it's some sort of, no matter how you look at it, even if you look at, I was about to bring it up, chat's bringing up the box art again. It's literally a child surrounded in light in the box art as well.
Could it be Minfilia and Thancred's child?
No, I don't think that ever happened. I don't.
We don't know, do we? We don't know that. Could have.
You're opening up a whole subreddit of fan art that I just don't want.
Ooh, God.
A whole subreddit of fan art that's been going since 1.0, you mean?
She was like 15 in 1.0.
All right. Yeah, well, no one cares about that, do they? No one's ever cared about that. All right, well, here's another one. It's got kind of gray-white hair, very pale features. These things are very kind of...
it's Gandalf.
Gandalf. Yeah,
it's young Gandalf.
Young Gandalf, yeah, that's right. From the little we can see of her or him or it, whatever it is, vaguely like Garlean features. Maybe it's a lost kind of Anastasia-style heir to the Garlean throne, and that an important part of excising the Ascians and deposing Varys and getting rid of Xenos and Solas and Elidibus is going to be kind of filling that vacuum and preventing the world from descending into chaos by, I mean, we've talked about this before, by rather than destroying Garlemald, reforming it back into a republic or a kingdom. And some part of that might be, finding and identifying this lost hidden heir that we have to protect at all costs, right? Maybe.
So you're thinking this dives into the War of Succession?
Sure, it could. Why not? Why the hell not? The War of Succession can be going on at the same time as we're approaching a flood of light or astrally aspected calamity or whatever, and we've got to protect this child and kind of get through this calamity and deal with the Garlean War of Succession and kind of emerge to the other side in some way. I mean, the only thing that we can say for sure about this child is that she or he is incredibly important, incredibly valuable, and must be protected at all costs, right? So we need to think about what it is that she could represent that would reach that kind of value, right?
Also to consider that if that's a child of light, the fact that light-infused creatures are hunting him or her is also a pretty odd prospect. That's very interesting, isn't it? Either to retrieve her or any such thing.
I mean, if it's Minfilia's soul is kind of fused with that of Hydaelyn. Maybe Hydaelyn has become so weak, or another calamity has occurred, and Hydaelyn can't sort of maintain her form or her life or whatever, that we've literally had to put her in a human body, right? Or maybe going back to the whole thing about Xenos bouncing against the Warrior of Light, maybe it's Xenos in another body. And we need to protect.
I thought about that about 5 minutes ago, and I'm like, I'm not going to say.
Yeah. Well, maybe, if Xenos is important to this ideal of balance, if Xenos needs to kind of stand opposed to the Warrior of Light, maybe it's Xenos in another body. We need to protect Xenos.
I hope it does.
But really, would
that be a twist?
Willingly, like it looks like he's enjoying it, so to speak, quote unquote.
Thancred enjoys everything. Thancred finds something to enjoy in all things, right?
Right, but would he would really? I think he would be kicking and screaming at the fact that he has to drag Xenos along rather than be thrilled.
Maybe he doesn't know, or maybe he understands that it's for the sake of safeguarding the realm, right? Again, I none of these things I'm saying, I don't want anyone to think that these are my theories, and I want people going onto Reddit and being like, well, Ethys says that it's Xenos. we're just spitballing, okay?
So go to Reddit right now and post.
Go to Reddit right.
And I kind of want to like shift gears here a little bit and not get too far ahead.
Please.
Why, like my next thought, which we kind of dived into it a little bit. Why is everything omnipotent?
I actually think that has no relevance.
Really? I mean, but I feel like there's too much in it. Well, like it's really three things, but like three things too much to like be such a coincidence. One.
Do you want the long answer or the short answer? I've got beer. We got a show. Let's go long answer. Okay, I'll give you the short answer first. It's not omnipotent.
Okay.
It's not.
Okay. All right.
The long answer is, if I can perhaps start by drawing your attention to page.
Yeah, let me use this opportunity to go grab mine real quick. It's just right here.
Page 150. Lost City of Amdapor, right down the bottom. Kuribu. Created by Amdapori Magi to protect their city, this winged golem is animated by gems infused with the power of white magic. To better contend with Voidsent, it is said to have been made in the image of transcendent beings from yet another plane.
So this is the transcendent being that we're dealing with, not Kuribu.
Yesterday I went and soloed Kuribu, right? Uh-huh. And I only used one job. And it didn't break any of my weapons. And I killed it in like 20 seconds. This thing is kicking our ass.
So it's the transcendent.
And more than that, this thing is not a statue. This thing has hair. This thing has eyes.
It's more lifelike.
Yeah. And I don't want to hear about like, oh, well, it's just, engine limitations or whatever. No, we can make things look lifelike. It's very deliberately like not a statue, this thing. So it's whatever this thing is, whatever the Kuribu statues are based on. It's whatever inspired the Amdapori, and it can be a number of things. It could be like a light void scent, perhaps with the first shard, approaching this flood of light, maybe things will start transforming there in the way they started transforming on the 13th shard. And given that we're approaching a calamity and the ethereal membrane between worlds is like very, very thin. Like you remember in 1.23b, leading up to the calamity, there were just void sent everywhere, absolutely everywhere. And it is explained thus because approaching the calamity, the ethereal membranes were sort of so thin that it was really easy to kind of pass through them, right? So Voidsent were taking that opportunity. So it could be possible here that something similar is happening. It could be possible that we're approaching a flood of light on the source, and that subsequently that is transforming things into Kuriboh and other sort of light aspected monsters. It's possible that I guess that they are Amdapori and that we've just been really badly nerfed, and that maybe something's causing Amdapori golems to wake up, but I don't think so. I think that's like the least likely. I think the only thing we can say for certain is that, again, this trailer is sort of crafted in such a way to establish this dissonance between light and darkness, and that subsequently it will be very easy to overstate like the narrative significance of these encounters. Like what's important is that we're seeing the Warrior of Light having to transcend all these things that we've been previously. Like, it wasn't sufficient to be a 1.0 archer. It wasn't sufficient to be a 2.0 warrior, to be a 3.0 dragoon, to be a 4.0 samurai or monk. We had to, overcome that in order to destroy this thing. Yes, Mike.
So I missed like 30 seconds of it, but I think it's very much in the vein of the Hraesvelgr problem of the 3.0 trailer, where they said, "Hey, we have this theme that involves light," and they just have assets for these light based. They're just like, well, they're light, and we'll fight them in the trailer just symbolically. I don't think these are.
I think that's definitely what's happening. That's not necessarily all that's happening, however.
True. And I go back to like the whole coincidence thing. First thing being the gremlin. It's been thrown around that the gremlin is possibly Ged-T Malice or Gede-T Malice. And the description of Gede-T Malice, if you don't remember, he is one of the hunt ranks. The first among gremlins in saltiness of speech. Gede-T Malice finally lost its place in Amdapor after one too many contumelies. Ged-T Malice wouldn't be the first to fall out with its gremlin mates. Thin skin and big mouths make for an uneasy combination. So Gede-T Malice, Amdapori, obviously, and then you have what could possibly be a Kuriboh, or what the Kuriboh is based off of, and then the Winged Lion. Like 3 coincidences, all Amdapori.
Again, I think it's more because the Amdapori didn't develop these golems until they learned about the Mark summoning and weaponizing void sets. And they specifically went and basically created weapons that would be diametrically opposed to this sort of, dark and umbral aspected weapons of Mark to sort of mitigate them and combat them. And that's how they sort of came across the Kuriboh and these other sort of, light aspected monsters they decided to make kind of golem copies of, right? So again, with the theme, us having to fight against light, there possibly being a flood of light coming, or an astrally aspected calamity or something like that, it makes sense that things are looking this way without really being Amdapori. I really don't think that they are Amdapori. I think that is incidental. I think Mike is definitely right, and that it's supposed to be thematic. It's supposed to be how'd you put it, Mike?
I just said I think they literally were just handed assets And they made something with those assets for a trailer that was simply symbolic of.
Yeah,
but they could have picked any other asset. Why would they just choose one?
There's not that many sort of angelic kind of light aspected assets in the game that are not Amdapori. Because that was Amdapor's like whole shtick. I kind of struggle to think of any others. And honestly, the Gremlin isn't necessarily Amdapori either. We do see gremlins in Amdapor, but they're void sense.
Yeah,
that's what they are. Literally, they're literally void sense. Again, if we're approaching a calamity, if the ethereal walls are kind of thin between the worlds, then we're going to be seeing all kinds of this sort of shit, both light and dark aspected.
Yeah, I don't think this is a literal event that takes place. I think it's very akin to the 3.0 trailer. It's like in the 4.0 trailer, motherfucker just kills the Garleans, and the Sekisagumi would be on his ass in fucking seconds in the 4.0 trailer if he was fucking knocking out Garleans. The Garleans wouldn't do that shit either. They know. They kind of do try, but it doesn't go quite like that. We wouldn't just be walking away, be like, yeah, go Setsu, Yagiri, what's up? And that's it, you know? I just literally think they had assets for these light aspected creatures. They were told to make a trailer symbolic of the struggle of light versus dark, and that's the end of it. I don't think anything in that trailer is like an actual event that takes place other than the Gimlet Dark. The Gimlet Dark and the thing with Thancred, I think, would be symbolic of actual events, and the thing with the Gremlin, you know, taunting us. I think that whole battle there is just showing, hey, this whole time we've been light, it ain't working, we're darks now. They're also scrubs because his archer is level 50, his warrior is level 50, his dragoon's level 60, his monk and his samurai are 70, and his dark knight's the only one he leveled to 80. So that's why he did dick for damage the whole time. That's
got the new AF. Yeah,
exactly.
So the other thing, which I thought was kind of funny, is the debuff that the Gremlin applies. What's it called? Misery.
Yeah.
It gives you vulnerability up, and maybe it is just a normal Kurubu, and it's just kicking our ass so hard because we got vulnerability up.
There you go.
And maybe it's got nothing to do with Dark Knight. Maybe it's just like after 20 seconds the debuff wore off. You know.
Doesn't explain all the job changing, but okay.
Maybe it's purely mechanical. Well, who knows?
I just think there isn't much weight to hold on the actual scene of him fighting the Karibu thing. Nor do I think there's much weight on the Thancred fighting the Amdapori lion statue thing.
I think there is so much weight. I'm just saying because of you know, we're hearing Arbert's voice. We've got all of these allusions back to Arbert, you know, become the warrior of darkness. It's like we just can't like have that material and not think back to the fact that Arbert's world is about to succumb to a flood of light, and that subsequently a flood of light would be causing these sorts of things to appear. Again, we can't like say anything for certain. I think that the most important thing about the trailer is that it's symbolic. But if it's only symbolic and that this has absolutely no like narrative significance, then I'm going to be really disappointed. I think
all I know is that Koji told us that a flood of light isn't like a flood of darkness.
Yeah,
a flood of light is literally everything's gone and that's it.
Yeah, once it's happened.
Yeah,
like once it's resolved. That's not to say that. Again, you remember when we were approaching our last calamity, leading up to it, all these horrible things start to happen as the world sort of falls apart, right? And definitely, like when a flood of light is completed, when it's, you know, finally resolved, there's nothing, like no life, just white. But it's not to say that there isn't a whole lot of shit that starts happening leading up to that moment, right?
Well, we've already started that with the ether imbalances, at the very least.
We have.
Yeah,
we have. So I don't think a flood of light would really be an instance of like everything is fine and then suddenly everything's gone, right? Because nothing happens like that in Final Fantasy XIV. And if it does, then I mean, what's the fun in that, right?
We'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah.
We will. I'm gonna, you know, it's one thing I'm really hoping for in 4.5. I hope they use the roleplay feature for us to play as Gaius or Varus. One of the two.
Why Varys?
Because he's kind of he's causing a bit of imbalance himself because he's realizing this cause he thought was just this whole time. He's just a puppet, and he's not happy about that.
Mm-hmm.
So
he's along the same lines of Gaius.
Well, that's why Solus had to come back, because Varys was like allowing the populares to flourish and allowing people to have ideas about reforming and establishing sort of peace with the subjugated nations.
Yeah.
So you're right.
Yeah. So he's I don't know. I have a feeling we get a Varys sacrifice kind of thing coming up. I have a feeling he's not going to I think he's going to be one of our losses fairly soon. I don't have much confidence in him living. I also want Gaius just because I want to see Gaius and Thancred fight together, and Gaius teaches Thancred. They both, those two should get along real well despite everything that happened, because they both hate La Habrea so much. They both have a real big problem with La Habrea.
That's a good point. They can hang out and bitch about La Habrea together.
Yeah, and they can learn about gunblades and shit together. It's going to be wonderful. All right.
I ship it.
Yeah, there you go. That's again on that Reddit that, just...
Yeah, I'll ship it.
Too much fan art. Too much fan art.
Yeah, Thancred and Gaius. Let's see it, everyone.
Let's not. All right.
Let's see it.
All right. Any other key aspects of the trailer before we dive into the lore book more directly?
I think we kind of like really dove into it, so we kind of touched the main things of the trailer, the flashbacks, Thancred, and of course, what we saw with the Karibu and the Winged Lion, and the girl with Thancred. So yeah, I think we touched on everything.
I think it's worth noting the voice. There's still a bit of debate about that.
Arbert, you mean?
Yeah. And I know a lot of people listening to it in English and Japanese have been saying that it sounds a little bit like Alphino's voice, and that maybe it's an older Alphino sort of speaking from the future, or maybe it's an Alphino sort of like trying to sound more mature or older or serious or whatever. When you cross-reference it with the German and the French, they sound nothing like Alphino's German and French voices, and they sound, again, exactly like Arbert's. So I'm pretty sure it's Arbert. But again, that doesn't mean that it is necessarily Arbert, because the whole point of Arbert's character is that he looks exactly what the Warrior of Light looks like in all the trailers, and he's supposed to be like a reflection of the Warrior of Light. So this could be used as like a placeholder for our voice, the protagonist's voice, speaking to himself, either internally or through a calling from the future or whatever it is. But it's definitely Albert's a voice actor.
Well, that's another interesting detail. I'm interested to see, because they have a whole character model for the Warrior of Darkness in all the press releases and stuff. And I'm curious if that's just Dark Knight armor, if this is like a character that's supposed to represent kind of Arbert in a sense, and his like fully fledged Warrior of Darkness ish kind of thing. Like to make him the guy from the trailer in a sense, like as literal an interpretation as possible.
I mean, to be honest, a time skip of like, future, Alphino wouldn't be that far-fetched, because when you think about it, back in Heaven's Ward, the entirety of Heaven's Ward was done through the pages of Fortone's diary. So it wouldn't.
Yeah, but we haven't come back to that.
I forgot about that diary.
Like that was more a narrative device than anything. I mean, it's possible. It's possible, I guess. And there's the whole, in the voiceover, how many years have come since that day? How many years have I waited for this moment? People are looking at that and thinking of time skip. But again, people are assuming that that what the voiceover is referring to is the same moment as the action that's happening on screen, which is in the Gimlet Dark with the Warrior of Light and Xenos, and people thinking, oh, well, it must have been years since the Gimlet Dark. And I'm just sort of remembering, like, literally every trailer we've had, there's always been a dissonance between what the voiceover is referring to and what the action is actually portraying, right? So that years, how many years, it could be anything, honestly.
Has there ever been? I don't think any of them have ever had voiceovers like this one has. Heaven's Word, nobody said shit. Stormblood, nobody said shit.
I've said this is the first one that we've had voiceovers for,
and it worked really well.
Yeah, it did.
The change in direction to have this like ominous voice kind of narrating the trailer was a welcome change. True.
That's the closest thing we've ever had to a voiceover is just Susan Calloway's lyrics.
Yeah, and the 1.0 trailer, the Ellison and the Mikote talking shit, like wasting my fucking brain cells.
Yeah, but it's nothing significant.
And then we say this one, and that's it. The warrior light goes that one, and points to one of the leave quest things, and that's it. We've never had like a voice kind of thing. It was always just
not like this. Yeah,
just not like this. Okay. All right, yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of things I want to see happen, but there's nothing indicative of the trailer, so we can leave that probably. It's going to be fun, because we'll probably have to do 2 lore shows. Probably do one on 4.5 Part 1 and Part 2, because I don't think we're going to be able to wait 2 months to talk about Part 1. I don't know about you. I'm not going to be able to wait 2 months.
No, God, no, let's do it.
On top of that, 4 Lords finale coming up, which is going to be interesting. Yes. We're not... Koryu is not the final encounter. We don't know what could happen in the Serrha encounter. Maybe Koryu is in the Serrha encounter. Who knows? But I doubt it. I'm feeling Koryu's solo instance and whatnot. But there's a lot of lore points that are going to be wrapped up between Ivalice, 4 Lords, patch 4.5, like everything. So
Ivalice as well is going to be a huge one. It's going to be huge.
Ivalice is going to be... I wonder how important Ivalice is going to be for the expansion. Because while it wasn't in the trailer, they did talk about the Raktika Greatwood. And that's no doubt Viera land right there. And then Amarang is... do you know what Arang means? Because that's dragon speak, isn't it?
Yeah. It's definitely dragon, but it's not a word that we know. Like, that's definitely dragon.
Yeah.
That's... hang on.
He's got it. He's got it on the ready.
I might have it. I'm not sure whether I worked it out. It's definitely an adjective. And then Arang has got to be a noun, but yeah, we have a very kind of incomplete
dragon speaking here.
We have a very incomplete knowledge of dragon speak. I know what Gimlet means. Gimlet is
Rogadin.
Yeah,
I saw your screenshot.
Oh, you did? Okay.
On Twitter.
Well, okay. Well,
no, say it for them.
Say it for them. I'm trying to find it.
Well, fucking hurry up! I can find it on your own Twitter faster than you can find it.
Okay. It means modest light. And I thought this was really interesting as well, is that we're going to this light place, this place of light, and we're making it dark. Like the place wasn't dark before this event. The Gimlet dark. Gimlet has become dark. I like that. Again, it's this dissonance between light and dark, like literally right there in the name of the dungeon, which is really cool.
Yeah. And it's also Roganin, so that would have to mean that the place we're going to is a Roganin, like was a native land of the Roganin, I'd have to imagine.
Yeah, but unfortunately that doesn't help as much, because that could be in Girabanya, but that could also easily be in the northwest of Orthard or in the southwest of Ilsabard. So
those are all the different Roganin tribes.
Yeah, there's Roganins everywhere. So
it's not like Duskwights where we can probably... narrow that down.
Are only really in one place.
Yeah. All right. Well, if that's all we've got going forward, because you can't really dive too much into Ivalice too much without 4.5 in hand, we now have this bad boy to go over. Volume 2 of Encyclopedia Eorzea. So I know Ethys has read the whole thing. He had a nice long 16-hour flight to do so.
I did.
Yep. Sly, how much have you story timed your way through this so far?
I picked up bits and pieces. One interesting point was the leave cards, or the legends behind them.
Yeah, they were really cool, weren't they?
Yes.
There's a quick lore question in the chat. Where did Mikote come from? They migrated north from the lands of Mericidia after one of the Umbral calamities. Oh, no, that's not it?
No, that was the typo. They came from Ilsabard.
Oh, Ilsabard, my bad. Yeah, the typo got me. Yeah, Ilsabard. But they did come during the
age
calamity.
Of endless frost.
Yeah, the Age of Endless Frost. That typo is a killer one.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah, they traveled south. Not to say that they'd never been in Eorzea before, but more recently. Yeah. Walks over the frozen sea.
There you go. All right. Well, gentlemen, we have several books that we had to look at. We had the first book, Heidelin herself. We had the second book, Her Tales. The third book, her lands. The fourth book, her servants. The fifth book, her bounds. The sixth book, her designs. The seventh book, her burdens. And the eighth book, her creatures. Her creatures I was the most interested in because I was like, how many more creatures are going to pop up in there? And some of my favorite segments actually come from that. Speaking of the Lucavi, speaking of the auspices.
Okay.
Speaking
of...
the
auspices and the Lucavi were very cool.
Now, the legendary creatures page I thought was especially interesting because 3 of the 4 things on that page are mounts. And one of them isn't, and I really want it as a mount, and that would be Coral Regina. I want a Coral Regina mount. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, that'd be a pretty cool mount. Yeah, that'd be all right. What was your favorite entry? Is that a good place to start, maybe?
Well, you and I were speaking about Tamamo Gozen before we started the stream, so... I actually, so the section I had actually read about first, because I've tried to avoid reading too much about Tamamo Gozen because I feel like that's going to be integral to like we're going to get a huge chunk of that in the game if you receive it. For anyone who missed the announcement, the QB or Tamamo Gozen will be the mount you receive for getting all the doggos from all of the Stormblood primals, and that usually comes with a cutscene explaining the origins and the history and the background of it. So I figured it would be dialogue in the game, so I didn't read that, but I did read the occupation of Garlemald and the expansion of their empire, and that kind of tells you a little bit about
so good
Tamamo Gozen. They actually detail the days of Lord Kyan standing against Garlemald, and there's some other interesting things about that. The use of geomancy to bring down airships was a big one. We already knew that geomancy was big, back in those ages. And on top of that, I just
really wish that we'd seen this. It's so awesome. Like the idea. So obviously air superiority was the main reason the Garlands managed to conquer all of Ilsabard and Orthard so easily. But the Domans had a cadre of ninjas and geomancers standing on top of the Dairyu moon gates. And as the Garland armada was sort of trying to fly over, they were basically pulling them out of the air by manipulating wind currents and sort of causing them all to crash. And then like down below, there was all the samurai fighting alongside the auspices, like Tamamo Gozen, just like absolutely shredding the Garlands. I just really want to see like an Echo cutscene or participate in that battle some way. It just sounds, it's so metal.
So metal.
So metal. This was probably like my favorite 2 pages of the whole book as well, just talking about the military campaigns of Garlemald in Orthard.
Yeah, especially going their strategic occupation of Dalmasca, which we said we can't talk too much about Ivalice, but we have been to Dalmasca already. And in the royal city of Rabanastre, and we know kind of how much of the foothold they've really lost on that side, because if they can't pass the burn, it doesn't matter if they still had the occupation and the strength there, but they do not have that kind of strength anymore.
Well, they can cross the burn. They just have to try and do it on foot. And again, this story is really interesting because the first time Solus tried to invade Orthard, it was by land, and it was by using like land-born like Magitech walkers. And try and cross the burn, and they failed. They got like all the Machina got like fucked up by bits of sand and stuff getting caught in their gears, and they had to give up. And it took them like 5 years before they developed kind of sufficient airship technology to be able to fly down to Dalmasca, because they were originally intending on just going like straight for Doma. Yeah, so it's really kind of indicating how much of a problem they have now, having had to destroy Rabanastre and having to go through the burn again. It could take them a really, really long time. And of course, there's that
pesky barrier that we put up.
Yeah, exactly. So it's going to be really, really tough for them. So I think that's going to force them to go after Alamigo first again. And that maybe the Gimlet Dark is more likely to be in Girabanya.
That's how I feel. I feel it's Girabanyan. That's the direction We've stayed away from Girabanya so much this expansion. I'd like to go back there in some capacity.
We stayed away from Alamigo, period, so much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's probably going to be going back there, but it's unsure. It's unsure. Yeah. So again, the thing with Tamamo Gozen is that Tamamo Gozen had to surrender to the Aramatama in order to like fight the Garlands effectively. She had to like, you know, sort of surrender to her rage. And that's why she's still like, you know, wild and why we have to fight her as a fate, which is really interesting. But yeah, the Garlands eventually just kind of overwhelmed the Domans by sheer fucking number of Magitech. And of course all the shinobi traitors and all that.
Shinobi Trader scares me in terms of them getting back to Doma, just because I'd imagine they'd purged a lot of them, but there's ways to coerce people always in war. So
well, yeah, that's true enough.
There's always that concern. Sly, what's one of the sections you've read so far that's kind of caught your attention?
Like I said, the section on the Legends of the Leave Quest, or Behind the Leave Quest.
The Leave Quest.
Page, the Saints of the 12, page 26.
Saints of the 12. Try to speak into the mic. Sly. I
had to put this to the side because it's too big for my fucking desk and I can't put it without the mic. So, yeah, page 26, the Saints of the 12.
So did you have a favorite one of these stories?
I believe it was Saints. Going back, the Call of Saint Reacher.
Let's see. Promptitude. Wait, which one?
Page 29.
Top of the page.
Oh, okay. I was reading the wrong thing.
Yeah, top of the page on 29. Promptitudes.
Okay.
Are we gonna have a little bit of
page too soon? Here we go.
Read it for us. It's not long.
Yeah, Sly. Give us the rundown.
The Call of Saint Reacher. Flanked by two elder siblings, the Huntress Reacher set off in pursuit of the slavers who had taken her younger sister. They tracked their quarry to the coast just in time to spy the villains preparing to load their cargo onto a waiting galley. The descent to the beach, however, suddenly shifted from gentle slope to precipitous drop, and there was no time to scout a less perilous path down. Eyes rolling in fear, the antelopes, the women rode balked at the cliff's edge. At this, Reacher let out a piercing war cry, spurring the mounts into a headlong rush down the rocky face to the sands below. Their slavers crumbled before the unexpected charge, and the sisters returned home triumphant, their rescued sibling in tow. Praised for her swift judgment and prompt action, Reacher was raised up as a saint blessed of all.
What a trooper. Damn.
What a trooper.
That's a good one.
See, I hadn't gone through much of these ones yet, the Saints of the 12, because I saw a lot of names. I was like, if I'm going to read things on individual names,
there's a lot of content.
Yeah, it's a lot of content. That's a good way to put it.
The ones that I really liked in here were the ones that we've had like places named after these saints, and we haven't really understood why until now. So I think a good example would be Saint Mosiam. Yeah, Saint Mosiam.
Yeah.
Of course, the Charlene Arboretum is named after Saint Mosiam. And her story is really cool. In return for a sizable contribution to the royal treasury, the alchemists were granted a monopoly over apothecary goods. The price of medicines immediately began to rise until soon the simplest of remedies became luxuries the common folk could never hope to afford. Unable to bear the suffering of her neighbors, Mosian took action. Drawing on the wisdom bestowed by her grandmother, she gathered wild herbs on the outskirts of town, then delivered her bounty to the sick and injured in secret. By weaving the herbs into flower wreaths, was she able to deceive the guards who kept a watch for smuggled goods. Praised for her benevolence in the face of indifferent greed, Mosian was raised up as a saint, blessed of Menfina. So that was a really, really cool one.
That was good, man.
And now there's manure monsters all up in her arboretum.
Yeah.
Obviously, she didn't make the arboretum. It's based off of the Saint Mosian.
It suddenly makes so much sense why the arboretum's named after, which is really cool. I think another one would be Saint Adama Landama. So the Church of Adama Landama in Eastern Thanalan, where Sid was holed up and where we spent a lot of the beginning of ARR kind of questing around, was Lalafell, who was very munificent. This one was honestly not that interesting, but basically he was really good at saving money and spending very little money. So he became a saint of Naldthal for being a miserly little potato prick.
That sounds very
very Uldan.
Very Uldan.
Yeah.
Now, yeah, and one more that was really caught my eye was actually the first one, the one Saint Danifin. I was trying to think, where have we heard
Danifin's collar? Yeah. So this is an Ishgardian one.
Yeah, obviously.
For
Saint
valor.
Yep.
I'm one thing I'm really looking forward to is back when you go back a few more pages, back to page 18 and 19, and it talks a little bit more about the auspices. There's actually I'd say 4 or 5 different parts in here that speak about the auspices. There's one section in where it's just speaking about other characters, where it goes by each auspice, each of the minor auspices, tells you how old they are, tells you what they became, how they became auspices, like what was exactly their journey. They have the famous foxes here, the auspices, but they also speak about Ganon, the first king of Doma, and he's kind of he's the source of all geomancy. Pretty much.
He's not.
Not the source. He's he's credited
because we've been told. Yeah, we've been told in multiple places that he founded geomancy, and he didn't. He was trained in geomancy by a shaman, basically. And that was a huge part of why he was so effective as a military general, because we know how rare proper disciples of magic are in Orthard and always have been in Orthard. So it gave him a huge advantage. But it was after he became king, he sort of established a formal school of geomancy, which was interesting. But yeah, and again, in his afterlife, he became a kami. Became revered as a kami.
Yeah, and that's one of the interesting parts for me. Anything that's a kami or a primal or an icon, I see that and I go, well, that's going to be a problem one day.
Yeah. Well, there's the interesting thing about the auspices as well, and how similar, mechanically, the auspices are to primals, even though, ontologically, they're very different things. But the auspices, again, are revered as kami by the Orthardians.
Yeah.
It's not just things like Susano and Tsukuyomi that are treated as kami. It's also mountains and old kings and auspices are all treated as kami.
Basically, magic. Pretty much anything an author that could actually utilize or be related to magic.
It sort of makes you wonder again, given what we know about the significance of prayer and the power of prayer in forming primals, is maybe prayer and belief and reverence holds some part in the forming of an auspice that we don't know of.
Well, it's always weird to me that these animals just suddenly go way past their expected their life expectancy and just become auspices without people sort of forming to believe it. And when you go to the section that discusses the auspices, a lot of the times it talks about what people believed about when it comes to those individual auspices, and that a lot of them are far from the truth.
Yeah, totally.
And those beliefs in itself could have kind of given those creatures, for example, there is legend of a dog of a dog that was a god, and it did this one thing, and people believe this one dog that they've encountered. Oh, this is that does that belief?
It's going to give it power, yeah.
Yeah. Does that belief in itself begin sort of bringing to life, creating a vessel in a sense?
Yeah. Well, you got to wonder, don't you? Because again, we know that belief has that kind of power over other things, over more fictitious things.
Yeah, I mean, we have fucking Good King Moggle for that.
Yeah, and I mean, we understand that as an animal ages, its anima grows and it sort of accrues more ether, and that's kind of all the explanation that we've had so far. But it seems like there's got to be a bit more to it than that.
Yeah. What was another part that I thought was interesting? Man, I could just go through the auspice parts the whole fucking show.
Yeah, honestly.
Especially because the first Eorzean encyclopedia is all about the West with tidbits of Mericidia authored and stuff. And this is the first one. This is the first one we have where the East, while not completely discovered in a sense, is present. I guess so. There's anything that involves the eastern areas of Authard and Hingashi or Ivalice or any of those is sort of in immediate interest, I suppose. Not everything, though. I mean, we even have some new information about Voidsent in here, specifically detailing Skothak. When they detail that she is no one to be fucked with, apparently, or wasn't at some point.
Until we fucked with her.
She rivaled, apparently, before she was entombed in that body, she rivaled the Cloud of Darkness in terms of hierarchy.
Oh yeah.
In the and we had to have assumed that because of sort of the reverence there.
Yeah. Yeah, the way she's treated, the way they talk about her. Yeah, for sure.
But at the same time, it's not really evident when you fight her that she holds that sort of position, and we learn it's because that body like brings her down to like a lower, almost like a low. She's not reduced in the hierarchy, but the body is lower than where her actual power sits in the hierarchy.
Right. Well, the problem is that she's been like being drained, and used as a battery for the past 1,500 years. Right.
Yep.
So, she's pretty weak. Again, when Diablos first woke up in Amdapor City, he was significantly weaker. So she had a similar problem. So besides from the Krubu thing, there are a couple of other places where we get like little hints of things that like might be coming in the lore book, which is really interesting. And one of those for me was the Lambs of Dalamud, who we've heard basically nothing about since the beginning of A Realm Reborn, but were quite salient sort of at the end of 1.0. So basically when Dalamud started descending, this doomsday cult formed, where they thought that Dalamud was going to, descend to the earth and purify the land and take all the true believers into heaven and destroy everyone else. But we get this little note that people think that maybe the Lambs of Dalamud have actually been around a lot longer in some form or another as sort of, moon cultists of one description or another.
Oh, moon cultists, Ethys. Yes, tell me more. I would love to hear about this.
I walked right into that one, didn't I?
Yep.
Okay, all right, okay.
You gotta do it.
So I'm going to ignore that, and I'm going to read this little bit here.
Give us a page, please.
The page is 25.
Okay.
Wither the flock. Despite numbering in what religious scholars estimate to be the thousands, the Lambs of Dalamud all but disappeared from the public eye immediately following the fall of the Lesser Moon. Scattered reports from across Eorzea suggest there may still be factions that continue the blood rites. However, their numbers are insignificant. Whither then did all the lambs go? It is quite possible that the beliefs of those cultists who survived the calamity were dismantled by the revelation Dalamud was naught but an iron prison for the ethereal manifestation of a long-dead worm. Having lost faith, they simply abandoned the cult and returned to their old lives. Word from the Far East, though, may suggest otherwise. Adventurers and traders have brought back with them tales of intrigue, a swelling of the ranks of those scattered tribes who pledged spiritual allegiance to the Dusk Mother, Nama, and the abductions that have followed. Is it merely coincidence, or could this prove the beginnings of something sinister? Only time will tell. So there are moon cultists in and around the Azium steppe now, worshippers of Nama, who have begun kidnapping children and sacrificing them and performing these blood rites in a very similar way to the Lambs of Dalamud were in Eorzea.
I think that's a specific tribe.
There's a few tribes. They're probably mostly ones in the Nama desert rather than the Azim steppe. But there are, the Dothal, for one, are particularly reverent to Nama.
What was his name? I'm trying to remember the tribe he was, because there was a tribe. They were a tribe. I can't remember the name of the tribe, but they've been known for robbing and kidnapping.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. I don't think that was like specifically for sacrifices. I think that's how they grow their tribe. They grow their tribe by kidnapping children from other tribes and raising them as their own. Mm-hmm. This is like specifically for like ritualistic sacrifice.
Right.
But there's we definitely haven't heard the end of the Lamas of Dalamud, and there's definitely something going on in the Far East here, which is going to pay off at some point.
The Baduga. That was the tribe. The Baduga, it was like, that's Didakul's tribe. Who Didakul, if you remember from 4.4, he was alongside I've lost all thought. But he was in the fight with Y'shtola.
Yeah, I was gonna say you were looking for the name, and I was just like, little son.
Little son.
My hand.
Yeah, no, the Baduga occupy the Dawn Throne alongside the Oranir. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, with Man Guy. Yeah, that's correct.
Little son is the greatest thing that's, I don't think, mentioned in this lore book. In the next lore book, I can't wait for them to recant the patch 4.4, and I get to read that again. That was fantastic.
The other, I think, major thing from the lore book, at least for me, is the fact that they've done a full page on every single one of the dungeons in the game. Yes. Every single dungeon. And then a whole section on weapons and armor. And the first thing I thought was like, oh yeah, you guys remember those series? I did like a whole bunch of episodes of my lore tours and Eorzea Armoire. And remember when I was making those, how frustrated I was by how little like actual in-game information there was on any of the particular weapons or on any of the particular dungeons. And now I had to basically speculate a hell of a lot and do a lot of work and talk about a lot of the referential stuff, the inspirations and stuff. Man, I can't help but wonder, like, this is going to seem incredibly narcissistic of me, but I can't help but wonder if Koji, like, saw some of those videos and was like, wouldn't it be cool if, like, we did, like, an official thing like that, given that people are actually interested in that? Isn't that interesting that now there's, like, official lore tours? This would have been really helpful in 2015, this stuff here.
I have a question. Speaking of the dungeon related thing, it's been a while since I've looked at or remembered kind of the dialogue around the Drowned City of Scala. How much information did we have in the patch of Scala of what Scala actually was? Because I just simply can't recall. Because it's in here, and I remember being very interested in that when I was reading through it, and I was like, I feel like they probably said this, and I just completely forgot.
Basically, it was a 5th Astral Era kingdom that was defeated presumably or supposedly by the Marquis, like, pretty early on in the War of the Magi, and was subsequently, like, abandoned and forgotten. And when the flood came, that's what formed the locks, and it was buried and drowned and forgotten.
Yeah, because there's it just goes over the symbols and the seals that are placed there. The old one, a little bit. I think, the Herodric Poison Tongue, I think, is the same text from the Triple Triad card. Cousin of Theodric, the last king of Alamigo, the noble-born Project, was 5th to the throne. Yeah.
It is.
Okay, just making sure. A lot of that in here, I was looking to read some of the smaller points. I'd say one of my biggest disappointments was probably the section about the hunts, because it is literally just the hunt watchers from the game. It's those quotes.
That's true, and that is a little disappointing, but it's nice to have that all in one place. You know what I mean? Like I found it was the same with the last lore book, is that I think they exaggerate when they say like 80% new information. I think it's more like 50-50. But the fact is that there's so much stuff that we'll have like lore forum posts on that are sort of like split up in a couple of places, or there'll be like an interview that Koji had where he talked about it a little bit, and then another like post he made later that sort of covered a little bit more of it. And it's nice to have that all like collated in one place. You know what I mean? Like I particularly found that with like the sections on language, and again the sections on the saints, and the sections on where are we?
We could be anywhere you want to be, Ethys.
Yeah. Anyway, you get what I'm saying. It's like it's just a really nice sort of conveniently laid out way to collate it, which just makes it like a super useful, just like resource book. Like it's not that often these days that I have to kind of go somewhere else other than the lore book to find the information that I want. And when I have to go somewhere else, I kind of have a much easier time remembering where it is when I reference the lore book. So, yeah, I'm very happy.
No, I am.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I see what you did there.
Yeah, I do it a lot. You're welcome.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. All right.
What are you making that sound for? What are you doing over there? What are you doing over there, Slyh? What do you got going?
Nothing, just looking through and, you know.
What are you looking at then?
Just looking through, just
browsing
at
something. I didn't see this. Isn't the you're supposed to read it before the show, not during the show.
Well, I read it on a plane.
Did we cover the lore panel?
So I was actually back recording a video on the opening keynote during the lore panel. So if you would like to educate me on the lore panel, I would be much appreciative of it.
I'm just trying to think if there's anything.
I mean, there's the vegetarian. Nothing else really matters.
The vegetarian was the one big draw of it. Yeah.
Okay, so here's a couple of fun facts for you, I guess.
Okay.
Okay, so the Garland eye is hard. It's like keratin. It has like a shell, so you could like poke it and tap it, and it would be hard. Cool. Phrasing. The last Alamegan queen was Gridanian. She was actually from Gridania. You'll notice that the plants in the royal menagerie are native to the Black Shrouds. And the menagerie was kind of set up and made to kind of make her feel at home. It was her, little happy space, basically. Orlis is dead, confirmed, 100%. Orlis is dead. Okay. So we can stop wondering about that. There are about 10 known Pajali alive today, and maybe a couple more that are unknown, but only about 10, which is pretty interesting.
And we know how many of them?
We know 3, 4, 5 or 6 of them. Most of them.
Yeah, safe to say.
Another interesting one was the reason why there's so many Elezen names in Lenosha, despite the fact that it was founded by Rogaden Seawolves from the far north, was that basically the Galadian, so the ship that was fleeing from the battle in the north, that ended up kind of crashing on Vilbrand and founding Limsa Lominsa. They rescued some shipwrecked Elezen navigators who knew about Vilbrand and helped them navigate back to Vilbrand and escape from the armada that was chasing them. So they decided to name a bunch of landmarks on Vilbrand after these Elezen navigators, which is pretty cool. And that was about it. Obviously, there was all the stuff about the fish, and that was fun. But those were a couple little interesting things that I don't think we'd known before.
We better get that patched in. That's all I gotta say.
There you go.
Yeah, Alice. The confirmation of Alice
be in like the next day, and it isn't yet, is it?
Well, he wrote it, and it's like in their like behind the scenes client. Yeah. But yeah, it's ready to go. Yeah. It needs to be deployed.
Mm-hmm.
So they probably sent it over to, as he said, the other languages, and I'm sure Germany is having. The German language is having a great time with that.
Oh, the really funny thing, the guards in 4.4 in the throne room, people have sort of been wondering about them. Oh, are they Ascians? Are they possessed? Like, what's up with them? And Khuja was like, no, they're just really thoroughly vetted.
And you did, I think you did say that. And like when I asked about it, I'm like, well, what about these guards? Are they in on it? Or like, no, they're just
no, why would they be in on it?
they're just cool as shit. They're cool.
They're just bros.
Yeah, they got no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that turns out that's what's going on. That's what it is. So
the Owlus thing is probably the most important.
That Owlus is dead.
Yeah. To just
the
know.
The thing is, like, yeah, but the thing is, like, he made notes. You know, like he followed the scientific method. Presumably, it doesn't mean that his research is gone.
No, that's what I was saying back when you were.
He said that he had to share these findings. I imagine that someone's shared his findings.
Yeah, that's what I was saying when you were saying you weren't sure if he was alive or dead, and I was like, well, I mean, he had data.
It doesn't matter. Yeah, it doesn't matter. Exactly. I mean, when he said "my word, this data," he wasn't waxing poetic. Like, he was speaking literally.
This data. I mean, how else were we supposed to get his mount, right? For PvP?
Without his data. Exactly.
Without his data.
And near the end of his entry in the book, at length he succeeded in creating the resonant, but his experimenting days would come to an end when he recklessly took battle during the siege of Alamega and was slain, age 36.
Gotta admit, it's pretty stupid for him to go to battle when he's a scientist.
Really? You're questioning that?
Don't pay attention to this thing when it says that people are dead, because the last one describes the late Gaius van Belsar.
Dude, we don't know if it's Gaius.
This is written by Eorzean scholars who are stupid.
Ethys, are you confirming a bug?
No, I'm not confirming a bug. I'm confirming the fact that when the first encyclopedia came out, Koji made a point of saying it's a diegetic source. It's not written by me. Me being Koji speaking in the first person there. It's written by Eorzean scholars diegetically. It's an in-game resource. It's not flawless. There are mistakes in it, not mistakes that he's made, but mistakes that are just reflect the limited knowledge that Eorzean scholars have. It's RP, unreliable narrator, diegetic narrator. That's really, really important. So when it says that someone's dead, it's not necessarily dead. When Koji says that someone's dead in an interview, then they're dead.
Yeah,
so
that's a pretty good tell.
We find out through POTD.
Yeah. And there are another couple of things in here that are like that. Shit. I don't remember what it was.
Just to be clear, Koji does not write the lore; he localizes the game. Oda-san is the one who.
They collaborate on.
They collaborate, but like.
But Oda gets the final say.
Yeah, and he like if Koji has something to add, it'll go through Oda-san.
Yeah, and let's be real, it will go through. Oda-san doesn't say no to Koji, but Oda-san is the one that ticks off on it.
Yeah.
There was definitely something else in here like that where it said something that like we know better than, but only recently. It might have been on Eureka. I
didn't much enjoy the Eureka section. It was okay.
Well, the Eureka section just
it's ongoing.
We haven't finished it yet. Yeah, exactly. And it did obviously confirm that it's the Isle of Val and all that, but there's yeah,
because Cryo can't make up her fucking mind. Every time she's like, I have an idea, but I don't know. So like, this is my idea. It's like when we do a show.
I finally finished Eureka. Like I finally finished quote unquote Pyros today.
Oh no, that's what it was. It was Heaven on High. Yeah. So whoever wrote what are their names?
The Confederacy?
No. The not the Onishishu. Is it the Onishishu?
The Onishishu, the ones that guard Heaven on High?
Guard?
Yeah, it's not the Onishishu though. Yeah, no, it is the Onishishu. Yeah. So yeah, and there's a little section on the Onishishu earlier. Whoever wrote this, they don't know the truth about the Onishishu like we do. And the section on Heaven on High basically reflects that. They're like, we don't know what it actually is, basically.
But we do.
Yeah, but we do.
We know more than you, book. We know more.
Be it a ladder by which the gods graced their creation, or a lift by which the ancients reached the moon, its legends are as diverse as they are plentiful. Despite the abundance of interest, however, there have been a dearth of discoveries pertaining to Heaven on High. The power of superstition has ever lain thick about the isle, promising divine wrath, and its occupation by Confederate forces in recent years have added a very tangible deterrent to investigation. So basically, no one knows.
Yeah.
But we do.
I like how they have the scholar like has a recreation of what someone believes the top would look like, and I'm like, that's bullshit. He's been there.
Yeah.
No one just guesses that it looks like that at the top. That's bullshit.
Artist's depiction.
It's way too accurate.
Maybe we're the artist, or maybe we told the artist what it looked like.
Maybe he just says it's. I don't remember exactly what it says. It's like a recreation of some kind. There is all sorts of stuff in here. Oh man, like we could honestly, it's hard to really nail some things down. I know the armor section I quite enjoyed as well. It made me wish we had certain like bonus effects on armor based on some of their descriptions of some of the pieces. I think we actually unlock certain traits through job quests around the time we obtain some of these pieces, minus the level 70. Well, in the past. Like we've
and you think that those traits are actually associated with the armor?
Well, in the monk armor, of course, was one of the first ones I went to, and it specifically makes mention of the body, making it easier to it strings of beads and distinctive patterns traced across the garment. Earth tones are believed to channel ether from the open chakra into one's fist, which is weird because this is the level 70 armor, and that's forbidden chakras, not a level 70 skill. It's more like Brotherhood. Opening the chakras, which I think is... No, it's not the arm guards. It is the... No, it's not any of these. No, yeah, it doesn't make opening the chakras. It just allows... Basically, the body is what's supposed to be what allows us to access Forbidden Chakra as a skill. Like to channel our open chakras and put them in our fists. But we can do that without this armor, so...
Yeah, it just makes it easier.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, all the armor is like that.
Because we project our ether into the armor, and it complements our powers, I think, or something. There's some explanation for it.
It's not so much that as that it just directs kind of the flow of our body's ether into particular points.
Yeah.
But yeah, all the armor of all the jobs kind of does stuff like that. And when you look at it, it's easy to sort of like talk about and extrapolate, but it's really, really nice to have like actual, affirmative information on it.
You know what else is nice? I think Koji likes fucking with people. The specific reason I say that, and this is actually not so much that, but I just like to believe it. On form and function for the monk armor, fabric woven with this thread is better suited for chakra manipulation as it frees ether from the ambient constraint, allowing it to flow without impediment. Also typical of the monk's garb are long sashes and panels of loose cloth, which dance through the air as the monk moves, distracting her foe.
Wow.
Shit. Oh, shots fired.
Jesus.
That is savage.
Yeah, I couldn't help but notice that. I mean, a lot of the monk stuff is a job about deception in combat. It doesn't come through so much when we're actually fighting, but even the arm guards mention that one arm guard has it is Eastern influence with the Domin rosary, but that they're specifically designed differently to confuse people, so they can't keep track of the movements. So they're like, there's those little details, and there's like that for all of the level 70 job set armors too, and there's a ton of different weapons that are explained here as well. The Pleiades, looking over at the Astrologian arms, the different books and where they were found or what their original purposes were. There's even the symbols, the different symbols of power that they place inside the scholarly books and stuff like that. So it's a lot. It's a lot. You will be reading this and rereading it. By the time you finish it, you probably need to go back and reread some earlier sections just to kind of process.
Just about.
The patch stuff you can probably keep close to the chest though, because there's a retelling of just a bunch of patches in here with like there are minor details mixed in. You pointed out a couple to me on your live stream a few days ago, but there's a lot. There's a reason why we wanted to do a show about this, and we knew we would only cover some of our favorite stuff. Lucavi's section wasn't too in depth either. It just kind of went over King Delita's history again, but we're unfinished. We don't know about Evilise, so there's no way the scholar could. We're still unraveling the remaining pieces there.
Yeah, I mean, the Lucavi section was sort of clarifying on the difference between like a Lucavi and a primal. It wasn't nearly as like in depth and specific as what we got in the cutscenes.
Yeah.
It was still really useful. It's still really useful. One thing that's really cool about this is that it very clearly demarcates the difference between an auspice, a primal, and a Lucavi. And that's something that a lot of people get confused about, I find.
Yeah, I mean, it's there's a lot of terms thrown around for things that are exactly like primals. That's the whole thing has been we've constantly been redefining what a primal is in the first place since 2.4, and so the Lucavi fit in that description as well.
I'm at the point now where like icon, I feel like is just this sort of elegant umbrella term for all of these different kinds of things, like a primal or an auspice or a Lucavi, like they would all be referred to as icons.
Yeah. But then in Eureka, Kryl starts trying to establish a difference between like what really is an icon versus everything else because of, Eureka. Because Eureka is the icon that's chilling in there. So, yes, Sly?
No, that was doing Eureka.
Oh, the emote. Yeah. There we go. Yeah, I forgot. Sorry, I don't use emotes as often. I just use /bow and /panic, and I don't like use nothing else. So that's it.
Yeah, Eureka's a mess. I can't believe like how much time we've spent in there and how little we've learned about it. It's so frustrating to me. Give me some sightseeing logs. Give me some dailies. Just give me something. You know?
Well, see, here's the thing about the Encyclopedia Eorzea. What I was hoping regarding Eureka, I wasn't hoping for a section explaining Eureka. I was hoping for a section speaking more about the Isle of Val itself. Which is what I was hoping to learn about more. Like we know what its origins were. We know who
existed there. But there's a reason for that.
Yeah, I know there's a reason.
Yeah, it'll be coming later.
But I want it
to be in the next one.
Like it's like now.
Look forward to volume 3.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, where every North American fan fest, I'm expecting one of these to be pre-ordered.
I'm not going to get my hopes up on that because that's like a lot. That is a lot.
He said that the first time, and look, what do you know? Right on schedule. That we have number 2.
Yeah, I don't know. If I start expecting that, then I'm going to be so disappointed when it doesn't happen. So I'm just gonna hold my breath.
Well, now you know how the Blue Mage mains feel. Anyway,
if he doesn't do it next Fan Fest, I'll do it for him. How's that sound? Let's be like, yo, Koji, I'll send you a bill. I'll get writing. I mean, Moose will do it, right? Moose already fucking like edited the thing.
Moose fucked up. We found a bug. Kidding.
Hey,
there's only one. I haven't found any others. There's only that. It creators.
Listen, Koji said there were a lot of bugs with the first one, so
yeah, and Moose caught all of them, just about.
Yep. That was a fun time.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anyway, we could go on talking about the lore book for hours, but
yeah, we could.
I suspect that we should probably move towards the end of the show a little bit faster. What are you making that face for? What do you still got on your mind though, Ethys?
No, nothing. I just want to sit down and like read through the whole book live with you.
I did that on Thanksgiving. Like I literally let people vote on what sections of the book we were going to read, and on Thanksgiving
I've been doing that every stream. I've been reading like a different section. So I'll be streaming soon, guys. Let me know what you want me to read. I'll be streaming
this evening, so if you want more lore book stuff, that's going to be the place to be.
Did y'all read the missionary diary?
No.
Oh God,
is that a euphemism?
I knew it. I was going to say the same thing. You playing a little 5-on-1? What's going on?
Playing a little 5-on-1. Hand out some free literature. Go feed the ducks. Go to the kitchen. Mix up a batch. Or
we made this reference last week, by the way, Ethys. Just so you're abundantly aware.
He was there. He was there. He saw it.
He wasn't there last week.
No. When at FanFest, when
I know, but I'm saying
when we were feeding the ducks together at FanFest.
Feeding the ducks. Go to the kitchen, mix up a batch, hand out some free literature.
It's so stupid.
It's so funny though. All
right. This is derailed. Let's wrap it up.
All right, let's wrap it up. No pun intended after all that. Anyway. There you go.
No, we never wrap it up. What are you talking about?
Dude, the lore on the Coliseum shout did crack me. I brought that up on my stream. They literally said that it was glamour over function. It was like not meant to protect. It was Coliseum, so it was meant to make them look attractive to patrons of the Coliseum.
Yeah,
that was it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's like they just turned them into slut armor, literally. Yeah.
Glamour, the true in-game.
Yes, pretty much. So if you guys are looking to get the lore book, I believe they restocked on volume 1 and 2. on the website.
Yeah.
I saw some people say they had pre-ordered Volume 1 and they were waiting on their Volume 2s to get there.
You should be able to order them right now, unless you live in Australia and the Square Enix store doesn't ship to Australia because they fucking hate us. Square Enix fucking hates Australians.
But you can always get these whenever reprints are available. Check the Square Enix store. They go fairly quickly, so you definitely want to get them as soon as your paycheck would abide. And, get reading, because there's a lot of stuff we didn't go over in here that I'm sure that, especially if you're someone who didn't play earlier, like you're newer to the game, this is a pretty good way of getting caught up from an Eorzean scholar's perspective. But
what's the availability on Volume 1?
They restocked this morning on 1.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's not available in the EU store at the moment, but it's on the NA store.
It's on the NA store, but the EU store, just keep an eye on it. If they have a waiting list, they'll email you when they're available. Yeah. So sign up for that waiting list, and as soon as you see one available, just grab it, pretty much, assuming you're interested in this kind of stuff. But so I've gotten some feedback regarding some stuff, guys. And this will be the last week we do things this way, but we're going to start breaking up our end of the show kind of related stuff into beginning, middle, end. So beginning of the show is sponsored by Steel Series. We're not doing it this week only because I didn't prepare it for this week. Truth. So beginning of the show, sponsored by Steel Series announcement, giveaway, middle of the show. We can bring up any sort of miscellaneous announcements kind of there, and end of the show, do the Patreon sponsors only. And that way we don't do it all at the end like I tend to do, and you guys sit there with your thumbs up your asses waiting for me to finish so you could say goodbye. Sound good? I'm going to make it quick this week, though. Every month we have a Steel Series giveaway on the YouTube section. Go to the giveaway in the description. Enter. It's a chance to win free shit. Do it. Bam. Done. Second, next week's show, Frosty and some members from the winning FRC Team Synergy 6 for the North American are going to be joining us to go over a PvP community, their inside perspective regarding that, and, of course, on the tournament overall. And third and finally, we have to thank our Patreon sponsors who have been sponsoring the show through #demonetized for quite some time. Of course, we have our Warriors of Light. Now, I do not believe they have provided me with new images, and as such, and I forgot that I had Mary's Yikes journal. Yeah, I have his Yikes journal still in the same tab. So I was going over this to show. I was going over to this tab to show the images, and I forgot about that. Oh my god, I'm so glad we had that on the show last week. That was wonderful. Anyway, all right. So with that, Ethys, that's not very nice. So talking shit about PvP in my chat. It was a fun tournament to watch. Okay.
It was high level play.
It was high level play, and that finals was hype, dude. It was packed for the final.
We esports now.
Yeah, exactly. We have to thank our patrons of light, Khuja on Jenova. This is their image. We want to make this wrap up a little quick, so I won't do any of the weird thank yous. Just a straight up thank you for being a patron of light. We also have Kurenai Oni, who really wants to eat a giant Namazu, even though it's not real. I think he needs to realize that. So thank you, both of you, for being the patron. You like that? You fan of that?
Fucking Kurenai.
You fan of that? Yeah. Well, even that. So thank you to our patrons of light. We also have all of our other sponsors over on Patreon. So let me take a big deep breath. Craze Demeter from Midgard, Prismind X, Carol, Ray, Senchi, Shadowlink on Tonberry, Dom, Asuka Wake from Jenova, Lamillianella of Midgard Stormer, Serren the Fennel Family, Janhyua Yotsuyu, Kifca and the Great Eagles on Exodus, Dark Raver, Kadeyoshi from Khuja, Skia Symphonia from Ragnarok, Rylanator, Westaus the Purple Warrior, Eadric Redsteele on Exodus, Lexxie Valentine, Mantaru the Rivivus FC from Zodiark, Sarah Cream and Tribes from Jenova, Rynoet Chikara, Goisha from Siren, Phoenix Down FC on Goblin and Serren from Zodiark. Those are standard sponsors here for State of the Realm. And then we have our elite sponsors for State of the Realm. We have Alchemy, Shinka, Casual Heroes FC on Midgard Armor, Tatachi Taka on Hyperion, Kane Izuki from Jenova, Ustala from Coral, Sathal, Sarah Frost from Behemoth, Holy Tabasco, Red Thorn Serrha, Crash 015, Mustang Stride FC on Ultros, Kat Kazuma, Ignis Farragon from Excalibur, Blessure Fanfret, Not Corch from Excalibur, Corvus Moonscar, Private Mikey, Nani Kirasami, Rudy Rudiger, Killer Hackman, Raul Jr., and Killtastic Jones. Thank you very much. Damn, get shit on.
Thank
PvP
you.
Over esports, over lore, over Ethys. Dude, I read that message that was deleted.
Those are fighting words, Ethys.
Yeah. Get fucked. Not only is dude just straight. Oh, he turned his camera off.
Wow.
Oh, why'd he do that? Oh, he didn't want you to see him crying. Can you turn the camera back on now? That's a wonderful shot for the.
That is a good. Please, somebody gift that, please.
Yeah, that was wonderful. Okay, all right, gentlemen. With that, I think it's time to sign off for the week. So, Ethys, once you're done mopping up your tears, why don't you tell everyone where they can find you at?
You can find me on Twitch pretty much every day. Twitch.tv/EthysAsher. YouTube.com/EthysAsher. I'm going to have a video out, not today, probably in the next couple of days on the Shadowbringers trailer. And I mean, we're talking a bit about it earlier today, but that's going to be a full sort of deconstruction of that. Should be fun. Twitter, everywhere else, Instagram, Facebook, EthysAsher. Go follow me in the places. And thanks so much for having me again. It's always a lot of fun.
It's good having you, believe it or not. All right.
Oh.
There you go. I'm just saying, it's good. You may not believe me, but it's good.
I don't, but thanks.
That's fine. I can't wait for the Eorzea on this book.
Yeah.
Sly, on the other hand, does not look like he's looking forward to that, just based on the imagery you have on the screen right now. So, Sly, why don't you tell them where they can find you not studying enough for Eorzea?
Thanks. Love you. You can find me at twitch.tv/Slyh, aka Greyfox, Twitter at Slythefox, Instagram at Slyh, aka Greyfox07, YouTube.com/TheVelvetRoom, Facebook.com/Slyh, aka Greyfox. Thank you for allowing me a few days to rest, because doing back-to-back cons is draining. It doesn't suck until you get home and you feel But thank you for allowing me today's rest. We are back to regularly scheduled programming. Doing trails on Friday. Like, we're always going to do trails on Friday because that's what you voted for. Need to hurry up and finish up Red Dead 2 so I can start Super Robot Wars. And we could be the most anime channel on Twitch. I'm really looking forward to that. So yeah. Tonight, however, is going to be special. If you feel like doing a little boogie, doing a little dance. You know?
Sly, please don't tell me that's what I think it is.
Is Pig's Ass Fork? Is Bear Shit in the Woods? Does Pinocchio have wooden balls? Bet your ass it is.
Are there one too many Persona dancing games? Or three too many?
Which one are you doing? The 5 or the 3?
Is 5 or 3 even out yet?
I got offered review codes.
Yeah, you're doing 4.
You're doing 4.
I'm doing they're not officially out, but
you got your review copy. Okay.
Do I want review copies, Sly? I know nothing about Persona. I got offered some review copies.
This is not this is a rhythm game, not a.
It's a rhythm game. So it's like Persona music is good music. So
that's true. That's true.
If you like the music, then yeah, definitely go for it.
I'll think about it. Well, I'm excited to see that, Sly. Thank you.
Yeah.
I want to see Sly play Just Dance. That's far more entertaining to me.
No, you don't.
Yes.
Can we get that? Can we get that as a fucking stream goal for Sly to get him to play Just Dance?
No, that'd be so good.
Oh, please, God, no. Oh, God.
You could do like a Katy Perry song or something.
Oh.
Haps, can you just tell everybody where I can find you so we can just get the fuck off of this subject?
You can find me starting a GoFundMe for Sly to play Just Dance of any kind. He's not having it off screen right now. But yeah, we'll get to that eventually. In other places you can find me are Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram at Mr. Happy 1227. So, but I know you don't care about that. We just want this whole Sly doing Just Dance thing to happen. It's far more important than where you can find me at. But be on the lookout for 5.0 related stuff as it becomes available. We're expecting a live letter in the next several weeks. And on top of that, there's some fun stuff going on. Another MMO related thing I'll be doing soon is checking out Pantheon on December 2nd. We'll be live streaming that. So that's going to be fun. Check out something a little bit old school. Valkyria Chronicles 4 I jumped into, and that was hilarious. I've never distrusted a sniper early game as much as I ever have before. And we're still finishing up World of Final Fantasy and Spyro 100% for new stuff. Plus there's Smash coming out. Plus there's Last Remnant coming out. It's about to get very busy. And Noctis comes out in Opera Omnia tomorrow. So I need to do that too. So anyway, that's going to be it for me. So gentlemen, if you don't have anything else to add, I think we can move on over into a post show. And then I'm going to go get Korean barbecue in like 2 hours.
Oh,
Yo.
Hell yeah.
Let's fucking go, boys.
Yeah, there's one literally like a block away. So whenever I want one, I literally just walk out the door. Yeah, there's a lot of food in LA. It's pretty nice. And I love meat.
Get ready for the meat sweats.
I finished 2 of the meats that Anthony made for me already. I got 1 bag left. So
that's so good.
Yeah,
oh my god, that was so good.
Yeah, I finished my bag like the day I got back.
Oh my god. So
Jesus
good.
Christ.
I want meat right
Thank
now.
you again, Anthony. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
All right. But with that, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to go into a short post show, and then we will see you next week for the PvP show with Frosty and a couple members of Synergy 6. So thank you for joining us this week, and we'll see you next week. So have a good one. Bye-bye.
See you next week.
Bye. Bye-bye.